Greetings, Rajee here. So, I'm feeling a little sad. I just saw some of the funeral ceremony of Jose Fernandez, the Marlin'S baseball star that died in a boating accident a few days ago. Only 24 years old. My goodness, certainly gone way too soon. Now, I am definitely not in the sports. I never have been. The most I'll get into sports is if I'm like flipping through channels and I happen to come across a fine athletic body running across a basketball court or a field, and I'll stop to like take in the view and enjoy a little bit. But other than that, forget it. Don't ask me anything about the game. Even though Jose's life and my life were probably very different, and I'm not into sports, Jose Fernandez touched my life. He inspired me. And I think for a lot of people he did, especially Cuban Americans. I mean, Jose Fernandez tried 4 times to make it here to America. 3 times he failed. On the fourth time, he finally made it. You know, the whole wet foot, dry foot thing. He made it. He came over here to live the American dream and, accomplished the goal of playing professional baseball. And he even was able to get his abuela, his grandmother, to come to the States. And just such a beautiful, inspiring story. And I think when I get contacted from people all around the world who say I've inspired them, I think that's kind of like the same thing. A lot of these people don't, necessarily have a life like me. They're not necessarily LGBT, people of all walks of life, but there's something about my essence in the story that inspire them. And I think that's kind of like the same thing, even though we can be very different from each other, there's that human connection that we can see in one another that can be very inspiring. You know, when I think about all the different people that have been able to do that, I mean, of course, you think of the greats, people that had really big platforms and I guess you say a following or big notoriety. Like people like Mahatma Gandhi and Martin Luther King and Malcolm X, and you have Lady Diana and Joan Rivers, and I mean the list goes on and on. But then there's people in our own personal lives, like family and friends, that touch us in profound, deep, meaningful ways. And then there's even sometimes strangers that do that. Oh, yeah, I remember I was about 18, 19 at the time in Philadelphia. And my uncle came from Trinidad, my Uncle John, and he wanted to go to New York for the day. So he took, my sister, my cousin Charlene, and myself, we went to New York. And we were sitting in a Chinese restaurant for lunch in New York. And I'm enjoying myself, and we're all talking and eating. And there was an older man, he was pretty old actually at the time, sitting at the table across from us. And he kept looking, he had said hello to all of us, but he kept looking at me. And about halfway through the lunch, he turns to me and he says, "Listen, I want to say something to you." He says, "We're all just passing through." He says, "In 100 years, everyone in this restaurant won't be here anymore." He says, "Don't take life too seriously and live it to the fullest." And in retrospect, I can really say that, don't sweat the small stuff, basically, is what he was telling me, because life is too short. But at the time, I took it in. I felt it to be a profound message. But I mean, as I've gotten older and lived life, I can really and truly appreciate that message that he gave me. Never saw that man again. He's probably gone, long gone, because at the time I was like 18, 19, and he was like pretty old. Like I'm talking in his 70s maybe. And so I know he's probably long gone. But I'll never forget him. I'll never forget him. And that's what I mean about a stranger touching you, touching your life. Hmm. So we all have a reason and a season, all of us. Some of the seasons are short, some are longer. Um, I remember a coworker of mine when I worked at the American Red Cross, Sharon DePass, and she had the cutest little boy. Blair was his name, 6 years old. Blair would come in to work with her sometime, and he just seemed like a little old man, like he'd been here before, just way beyond his years. Blair didn't bat an eye at me. I mean, I had already started transitioning. He was so loving and sweet to me, didn't bat an eye. And, I said, wow, here it is, adults, are doing backflips and so upset about me being transgender. And this little boy is just loving and accepting me the way I am. Well, Blair was actually away in Jamaica because Sharon is of Jamaican descent, and he was sent over to be with his grandma for the summer. School was out, and Sharon got a call on a Sunday night that Blair wasn't eating. He wasn't feeling good. He wasn't eating, and she was going to take him to the doctor the next day, the grandma. So the Monday, the grandmother calls and says, listen, the doctor says Blair is really sick. He needs to come home to the U.S. right away. So that Tuesday, he was flying home. And at the airport, Sharon told me this. Oh my God, so profound. They were hugging him and saying goodbye, and his uncle said, you're going to go back to America. Your mommy's going to take good care of you, and you're going to get all better, and we'll see you again soon. And Blair looked at him and said, no, you won't. He says, you're not going to see me again. He says, I'm going to die, but it's okay. I'm going to be all right, and I want you to know that. And I was like floored. This little boy is making this statement. Well, he comes back on the Tuesday. He flies into South Florida. His mom picks him up at the airport. On the way home, because she was planning to take him to the doctor the next day, the Wednesday, he gets really sick. She rushes him to the hospital. He's admitted. Wednesday, he's diagnosed with leukemia. Thursday, he passes away. When I tell you I was at his funeral, the amount of people that this little boy touched, oh my God, in his short 6 years of life, it was amazing. Then you have people that seem like they live forever. I love this woman, Iris Apfel. It's AFPEL, I think it is. Oh God, don't Iris. Oh, I can't remember. I always get her last name mixed up. But anyway, she's a designer, a jewelry and clothes designer, and she's featured on the shopping TV network HSN. Oh my God, this woman is a character. She is 95 years old. 95. Still has her mind and her overall health. Her hearing's a little going, but a little a little bad. But other than that, the designs that she creates, oh my God, such just really odd, unique pieces. The jewelry is bold and big, and the outfits, the patterns are just really unique. And so me, a friend of mine, Sandy Kay, says that's my godmother because I love that stuff. The bold and the gaudy. Gaudy, honey. I love it. So, this is a woman that's 95 years old, still doing her thing. And I'm inspired by her. This woman is 95 and still pretty vibrant. So, it's just amazing again how that whole thing of a reason and a season. Jose Fernandez, his season wasn't, very long. It was relatively short. But when you think about it, it's not quantity of life, it's the quality of life and what you do with your life while you're here on the planet. Oh, I get so emotional because these people that I've talked about today, you know, they truly touched my life. And we all are just passing through. So live each day to the fullest and really think about how you are touching the people in your life. Jose Fernandez, thank you for touching my life and rest in peace.